There's been a growing amount of people on the internet that are claiming that the American dream is dead. They're either saying that the US is too expensive or too dangerous or just not worth it anymore. And what they're doing is they're taking their US income. So let's say they're retired, or maybe they have a business in the US or an online business with US clients, or maybe a tech job, anything that they can work remotely with, and they go out of the US, they go to Mexico, they go to Eastern Europe, they go to Southeast Asia, and they live the dream life. And they say, oh, here is the American dream. These countries are so much better than America. And what they claim to say that these countries are better is first, that they're cheaper overall, that the rent is insanely cheaper, that healthcare is insanely cheaper. So pretty much they start listing things that are cheaper in those countries and that they can totally afford, whereas in America they couldn't. And I'm okay with that. Like, don't get me wrong. First of all, I'm not American, and second, I've been around and I know that there are a lot of countries that have very good bang for your buck. But I need you to realize something. You are only able to do this because you are American. I'll give you an example. Let's say you need to do some healthcare procedure and it costs, I don't know, 7K, 10K in America. You go to Vietnam, you go to Malaysia, and it only costs for $100. And then you're like, see, it's so affordable here. It's so cheap here. Yes, it's affordable for you because you're an American that earns in dollars, that earns an American income, and then you're in Vietnam. But for people in Vietnam, it's not affordable for them at all. So what I'm trying to show you is, let's say you go to Romania and you pay $200 a month for a spectacular rent that would cost like easily $3 grand in New York or $4 grand in San Francisco. Sure, that's amazing, but you're only paying $200 a month because that's what Romanians can afford. So to claim that those countries are cheaper is just not true. It's just like they're very expensive for their own native citizens. Let's take Brazil, for example. You know what the minimum wage in Brazil is? $300 a month. So you could go live in Rio, in Florianopolis, in Northeast Brazil, and you can live like a king, paying, I don't know, $400 in rent, $500 in rent. And you might say, see, the American dream is in Brazil now. And it's only true in the sense that it's an American dream. It's still American because the Brazilians can't afford that because their minimum wage is $300, and the Vietnamese can't afford to live in Vietnam because, well, all the Americans are making Vietnam more expensive. So to claim that the American dream is dead is not true. You're still lucky to be born an American because the only reason you have the American clients, you have the American job, you have the American real estate that pays you something like in dividends or in rent or whatever, is because you were American to start with. You can only go abroad and live like a king because you're an American. Because if you were from abroad, then you're not living like a king. It's just your usual normal cost of living. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm sorry if I'm not being clear enough for this, but what I'm trying to say is you were very lucky to be born in America, even if now you don't live in America anymore, because it was being born and being raised in America that allowed you to have those high-paying clients, that allowed you to speak English. If you don't speak English, like say you have a YouTube channel, and you're like, no, I'm completely location independent. Yeah, but you're talking to Americans, and you're talking to Americans because you are American, and because you have an American accent, and because you speak English, and because you have an American context to you. So everything is just easier for you in terms of making money. Your real estate is more valued, so you could have inherited a house that wasn't even that good, get the rent from that, go abroad, and live like a king. But it's only because you were American. So the American dream might be dead, and I'm not even sure about that. If you're saying, oh yeah, it isn't like it was in the good old days. Like, I can't live in America as well as I used to, and I totally agree with that. That's totally understandable. But if you're living abroad and you're American and you have a YouTube channel, or you're a freelancer and your clients are American, or your companies you work for are American, or you're an employee for a tech company, for any type of company that's American, what you have to understand is you can only do that because you're American. If you're not American, you wouldn't be able to do that because American companies can't just hire anyone of any nationality. There's many laws, there's many rules, there's many regulations. They're obviously going to prefer American citizens just because they're American companies. And then they're literally paying 3, 4, 5 times more than any other company in any other country in the world. So even if you're living abroad, and even if you hate America, if you're still getting your money from America, which is probably true, that means you're still very, very lucky to have been an American, because otherwise you would have been the normal Vietnamese, the normal Romanian, the normal Brazilian, who wouldn't think any of those things were cheap at all. They would just think those things are very, very normal, because their salaries reflect the fact that those things are very cheap. You can only pay, I don't know, $20 for a massage in Vietnam, because the person who's doing that massage is only making $20. Do you see that? You can only pay only $400 for a consultation in the hospital in Malaysia, because all costs included, those doctors, that structure, whomever cleans the hospital, everything, the administrators are not making that much money. They're in a poorer structure than you. And in America, things are more expensive because everyone is making so much more money. So yeah, the American dream could be to live abroad now, but it's still a dream very, very much exclusive to those who are American. Those who are not American just can't have that dream.